You are watching us live here at Humans TV Africa. Most welcome. Watching us live here at Humans TV Africa. My name is Kato Mukasa, and of course, with me today is the usual team that we do consumer rights show. Mr. Kimera right there in the studio, and of course, we have another panelist today, Maureen, there with us. Most welcome in the studio, and of course, Donis Bongole is our producer today. As you're watching us, please continue subscribing and continue sharing our shows with your colleagues. Today, we are with the consumer rights activists from Consent Uganda and, of course, from Slow Food Uganda. You are most welcome. It is Humans TV Africa, and today is yet another beautiful show we are going to be having. Let's welcome our guests and panelists for today. Thank you so much. In the studio today is Mr. Dennis Bongole to do the production. And of course, we have Mr. Kimera Henry, and we'll be doing this show together with Maureen right there from Slowford. So the guests today are right in the studio, and I want to have them on board as we discuss agroecology today. We are looking at the potential of agroecology and ensuring sustainable soil management for an improved food production in Africa. So let us have the guests in the studio, one by one coming in, and then we shall be able to continue with our show. Remember, every Saturday we happen to be here for a 1 hour show as we discuss issues to do with consumer rights, to do with food production, food safety, and all human rights concerns. Today, it is the 14th, 15th episode of this series. And of course, in the studio is Mr. Kimera Henry. There is going to be doing the show with me. Mr. Kimera, most welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Kato. It's a great honor joining the show and at our 14th series of consumer rights and responsibility awareness that we kicked off 2024. And like I always say, it is a great honor always being on this show, and we give our thanks to Humanist TV Africa for having brought on a new program in 2024 for all its viewers and listeners, bringing on the Consumer Rights Awareness Initiative. As consumer rights is our human rights, and as consumer rights or consumers, we have a right to life. And one of the aspects that gives us life and the foundation for life is food. And food has many attributes. We're looking at where it is grown and how it comes to the plate, how it is transported, how it is produced, processed. All these contribute to humanity. So while we always thank the decision by Humanist TV Africa for bringing this aspect on board, it broadens everything that we look at and discuss. I always tell people that food is like governance. Good governance builds citizens. Good food governance makes the country productive, makes the country healthy, makes the country competitive and productive in all aspects. Because when you are looking at good food, then you look at even the attributes that make good food. Attributes to do with governance, attributes to do with policy, legal, regulatory frameworks towards the environment, the soil, the water, the human resource, looking at the infrastructure, looking at local governments, looking at homes, communities. So the issue to do with food is very cardinal, very important. And I would like to say that we are very honored as Consent Consumer Center always to be part of these sessions. And I'm always happy that we started with food safety and fraud in January. Then we went on to food safety with aflatoxin issues. Then we went on with consumer rights awareness in the month of March. We brought in all aspects of consumers, and we brought in different actors, and every month we bring in different actors. And this month we are looking at agroecology as another sustainable agri-food systems practice that not only nurtures the environment, but it also makes us responsible so that we use the resources that we have responsibly. So this month we are looking at agroecology. How does it give us safe food? How does it improve our way of life? So today we are honored to have Maureen Ankunda Namaganda from Slow Food Uganda, whom we are proudly to have every month. So we have had slow food on this series nearly 3 times. So we are happy to have you, Namaganda, on this other episode of food safety, but looking at agroecology as a potential for ensuring food safety to us, the consumers on the continent and globally. So Nabaganda, as I've given up a little curtain riser, I don't know if Mokasa Kato, you have any tweaking question that will get Namaganda catalyzed and to go into the session and give us the potential of agroecology.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Chimera. Thank you so much, Mr. Chimera. And I'm very happy that you have given us that very beautiful introduction right there. I want to welcome Namaganda Ankunda. Maureen, yes, we had a bunch of people right here enjoying the platform. And of course, we are going to be sharing with everyone that is joining us today. I want to request Mr. Chimera, before we get Namaganda on board, to give us a recap of the last show, and then we shall invite Namaganda and Kunda Morin immediately into the show to introduce ourselves and, of course, give us her first comments right following your introduction and recap.
Thank you very much, Kato. Like society evolves, many things evolve. We have lived for centuries with the development coming in, and the development that has come in with positives and negatives. So, but last week, last Saturday, we looked at what is agroecology, and we linked the principles of agroecology to reality. We had John Chiwagaro from Slow Food, who is in charge of programs, and then John led us into a number of aspects: how agroecology plays its role, how agroecology contributes to the sustainability of the global world, bringing in the experiences of Uganda, where Slow Food is operating from, and I trust Maureen will bring in more of that, bringing in the practical aspects of how the principles of agroecology are rolling out in the different activity areas for Slow Food. Then we had Bernard, my colleague at Consent, bringing in the elements of food safety, looking at the role agroecology can play to realize food safety, and how best, if food is agroecologically produced, how can it be brought to us, the consumers, safely, and many other attributes. Then bringing in the governance beats and issues to do with the responsibilities of the different duty bearers, different players, the food businesses, the consumers, and then also Kato brought in his other aspect as a student that he has learned, and he didn't know that we were going back to what we used to do traditionally, and having seen that modernity, what we call modern, has got detriments, and now that agroecology is reviving some of the cultural norms that we used to do to sustain and nurture our soils to keep them productive. So it was a great show, and I trust that today, having brought in the mother, and I know that the mothers are the ones that nurture us both culturally, and they also preserve our culture. And when we put, like it is always said, once you empower a lady, a woman, a mother, you have empowered the nation. So today, Maureen, we are ready, and we look forward to your empowering us as a practitioner, as a campaigner, and as a promoter of agroecology and its practices. We would like to see how best we can align it with also food safety. In that, when food is grown agroecology, it is brought in as a sustainable food. How best do we handle it to keep it safe, to nurture our foundation of life, health, and healthcare? Thank you very much. Maureen, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kimera. Thank you so much, Mr. Kimera. And of course, now I want to invite Ankunda Morin. Ankunda Morin, I've just heard your mother. Of course, you must be a very responsible person in that light. I want to invite you on the show, but of course, to tell us, as a practitioner with slow food, what's your understanding of agroecology, and how are you implementing some of the tenets, the principles of agroecology in your day-to-day work? And of course, who is Maureen Ankunda briefly, and what do you do with slow food?
Okay, thank you so much. I'm happy to be with you today. I'm happy to be part of this show, which has been running every Saturday since January. I'm really happy, and I thank you people for coming up with such an initiative when it comes to spreading the gospel of good, clean, and fair food. So, like my colleagues have been saying, my name is Maureen Ankunda, and I work with Slow Food as the Program Officer, Agroecology and Community Empowerment. Actually, I'm a mother of one, and being a mother comes with so many responsibilities, and I'm glad that it has shaped me to be the person I am, and it has helped me so much in advocating for good, clean, and fair food for the past 3 years. So, going straight to today's theme, which says that where we shall be discussing the potential of agroecology in ensuring sustainable soil management for improved food production of safe food. I'm really happy to share with the world, or to share with my people from Africa on the potential of agroecology when it comes to ensuring sustainable soil management. So, like I know last week you hosted John Chiwagalo, and you discussed a lot about agroecology. So today I will not take much time on agroecology, because we already had a lot about it, but I will straight away go to discuss how this agroecology helps us in ensuring sustainable soil management. Agroecology, briefly, or in simple terms, it's a holistic approach that emphasizes ecological principles, biodiversity, and traditional knowledge to farming. So it's this holistic approach that it's a practice. Others call it a social movement, others call it a science, others call it a set of practices. So all these make it a holistic approach to farming that emphasizes ecological principles, biodiversity, and traditional knowledge. So with agroecology, I'm really happy that people are coming back to it. People are now realizing agroecology, that it is the way to go. Agroecology, like my friend Chimela said, it's not a new term, it's not a new initiative, but they are the things that we used to do long time ago. They are the things that our grandparents used to practice when it comes to farming or when it comes to sustainable agriculture. So they are the old things which people had forgotten about. I may say that maybe knowingly or unknowingly. So those are the things that our grandies were doing, but because of the Western culture and the coming of the improved way of doing things, that we had forgotten about them. But thank God that we have now realized the good of it and we are coming back to it. So agroecology, first of all, it has helped us to realize that soil is a precious natural resource. This has helped us so much because soil is actually the foundation of agriculture. Soil is the foundation of everything. If we are to get good food, if we are to have safe food. So agroecology has helped us realize the importance, the benefits, and how we cannot be without this soil. So after knowing that soil is a precious natural resource which supports the growth of everything, we cannot have plants grow, we cannot have the biodiversity that we need, we cannot have functional ecosystems when we are not taking care of our soil, when we don't realize that soil is actually a precious resource to us. So I'm really so grateful to agroecology that it has helped us to realize the importance of soil. And then with agroecology, we have been able to understand that we have to take good care of soil, because soil is a living thing. It's also like a human being. So if we don't take care of it, it will eventually die, like a human being. When you don't take care of a human being, the human being will die. And the same applies to soil. If we don't take care of our soil, if we don't feed our soil, if we don't embrace the importance of the soil that we have, then it will also die. That's why in Slow Food or in and all the other like-minded organizations have now come to realize the importance of this soil and are now working hand in hand to make sure that we again revive our soil. Our soil had died. Our soil, because of the excessive use of chemicals, the soil had died. The soil no longer produces, and we are almost losing all the food, all the biodiversity that would help us. So with agroecology, it has helped us to practice all these practices that are helping us to bring our soil back. Because first of all, this soil provides essential nutrients. It provides the one that provides water. It's the one that provides physical support for our plant growth. And without a good soil, without a healthy soil, then we don't expect to have this good food. We don't expect to have safe food. So, in
I'm going to ask you a question, Ebi.
Yes, please.
I'll interject a bit just in a minute. Now, you are talking about biodiversity, you're talking about the ecosystem, and you talked about something to do with our ancestors, our grandparents, our parents used to do these things better. Now, I'm a village man. I'm coming from Rengo, not very far away from you.
Yes.
And I want you to share with us how our parents, how our grandparents used to take care of our soils, and how we are not doing that, so that our people can understand. People of 30 years, 20 years can see a difference between how our parents, how our grandparents used to take care of our soils and could give us better food yields than what we are doing today. Today we are getting less food from the same soils which used to give us big bananas, big yields. So tell us exactly what were the good practices our ancestors, our grandparents used to do that we are not doing today. And of course, tell us, show us what are we doing wrong today, so that the picture comes out very well.
Okay. Thank you so much. So our ancestors or our grandparents, actually, they were so knowledgeable. They were so knowledgeable, and it is unfortunate that we are losing all this knowledge. So basically, what they used it to do when, for example, when they were cultivating their crops, or when they are trying to get something to eat, and they were using the same land, the same area of land that we are using today. But for them, during their days, they used to use the local the local available resources. For example, the cow dung. They use it to get animal droppings, like the cow dung, the chicken droppings, the goat's droppings, and they use it to put all this in their gardens. You never saw our parents running to the shops to buy these synthetic chemicals like DAP, the NPK, the CAN. These parents were, or these grandies of ours, they were so knowledgeable. They knew that if you get our organic fertilizers or our organic amendments like cow dung, like the compost, because for them, they actually never wasted anything. They never saw anything as a waste. You never found them wasting anything. For example, they are in the kitchen or the leftovers, they would just turn them into compost. They, when it comes to controlling pests, they would know that if you get ash, you mix it with red pepper, you smash, you get some, for example, like Teflosia. They use it to mix those things, like those materials, they mix and they come with a concoction that they use it to spray on their crops and control the pests and diseases. Actually, by then, even the pests and diseases were not so common like the way they are common today, because these days, the pests and diseases are common because of the things we are doing. But before, these things were not common, because first of all, there was a lot of biodiversity. Biodiversity simply means a variety of life. They had conserved or preserved their biodiversity. They were not cutting forests like the way we are cutting them today. Bush burning was not common. And of course, spraying with chemicals, it was not seen during those days. And you know, when a soil is not sprayed with chemicals, it means that soil is healthy, because the moment you spray chemicals in the soil, all the important and beneficial microorganisms, the organisms, if they don't die, then they will run away. If they don't die, they will run away. And of course, eventually the soil will start becoming bad. So those days, the soil was healthy because there was no use of chemicals. The important and beneficial living organisms like the worms and other beneficial bacteria were so many in the soil. They were in plenty. And these bacteria or these living organisms, of course, they use it to help in improving the soil fertility. Others would help in fixing the nitrogen. So their soil was fertile all the time. And with all this biodiversity, because a lot of crop varieties were still in existence, and these different varieties or these different plants use it to play different roles. Use it to play different roles. For example, the crops like the beans, they would help in fixing the nitrogen. Then when you go to the forest, the different trees or the different plants would eventually help in acting as habitats for different animals, different organisms. But now that these are forests and most plants are no longer in existence, the forests have been cut down, all these organisms or all these animals have nowhere to stay. They have run to their gardens. That's why we see pests and diseases so common these days. So then these days, yes, we all know there is excessive use of chemicals. This is what is disturbing us a lot. You can no longer plant and harvest without using chemicals, because first of all, the soils were destroyed and they became addicted. This, I want you to take this like an example. For example, when someone starts taking maybe like for example, marijuana, they reach an extent and become used to this marijuana, like those guys on the streets, those ghetto guys, they start taking marijuana. So the more you take it, the more you become used to it, and you reach an extent where you cannot do anything without taking that marijuana. So the same applies to our soil. A lot of chemicals have been put in our soil, and our soil has become addictive or adapted yes, to these chemicals. So once you don't put these chemicals into the soil right from planting, you will not harvest, and this is the problem that we are facing so much. Then another thing, there has been a lot of deforestation, a lot of bush burning, and of course these farming practices, the conventional ones, like the monoculture of the like you see those sugarcane plantations in Uyukwe. You find these big plantations of coffee, like you find one crop on hectares of land. This is something really bad, and of which these plantations or these crops are not there for just one season, but they are there for years and years. And the moment one crop stays on a piece of land for a long period of time, the soil will reach a time and it becomes exhausted and it cannot support this plant anymore. So that, and this calls for these excessive chemicals. That's why we see them spraying almost every day, because the soils are exhausted and they can no longer support the crops the way we want. You know, with Africans or Ugandans, we normally want to harvest big quantities, leave alone the health benefits, the quality. For them, what they want are the bigger quantities, and that is what is killing us. That is what is affecting us as Africans or as Ugandans. We are looking at the quantity that we are harvesting now, but we are forgetting about the long-term effects that will come along. For example, the diseases that will come in the long term. At the end of it all, you find that today you have harvested big, you have sold and you have got a lot of money, but in the long term, we get these diseases, for example, the cancer, and you end up getting all this money that you got long time ago, and you are now treating yourself. So people are looking at the big quantities, but are not thinking beyond on the long-term effects that will come along.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ankunda. That was a good one right there. And thank you so much for enlightening us. I want to now bring in Mr. Kimera Henry to enlighten us more on now the potentiality of agroecology in ensuring sustainable soil management. Let us look at how do we now use agroecology, Mr. Kimera, to help our farmers to fix the gaps that Ankunda has highlighted.
Well, thank you very much, Maureen, for leading us through. And quite a lot has been shared, bringing in the principles of agroecology aspects and linking them. This, like I always tell people, what affects the farmer affects the consumer, because even the farmers themselves are consumers. But one of the most
Yes.
potential is all bringing about sustainability and self-reliance, and also bringing in the co-creation. I would use an example of a village. I would bring a village in Ruengo, where you will find that, like Maureen talked about, our cultural, even if culture evolves, but there are certain norms that still we keep, and we use them as principles to make us thrive as human beings. I want to use the example of my village. We used to have a lot of bananas, and you have a lot of diversity, because our grandparents used to demarcate, manage soils by terracing and not allowing soil erosion and not allowing runoffs of water. And this, they would grow different crops at different places, different species or variety of bananas in the different areas of the farmland. And this could help keep the diversity. If we would brew beer, they would get the leftovers of the beer, turn them into manure, put them back in the garden. Then different types of bananas that were used in beer brewing would be spread out in the different parts of the gardens. One of the things that I look at using agroecology was mainly looking at how do you reuse the resources, and how do you use the resources that you have on your farm or in your household, like aspects to do. Maureen talked about using the animal droppings to make manure, you make biogas, you use one other aspect to go and nourish the soils in the area. But one of the examples that I always use on not running, and holding water not to run off. Back home, the spring wells had stopped, or they had vanished due to the lack of the water table. It was due to mainly running off and using most of the waters for different aspects. But when we went in to do the trenching and holding the water so that whenever it rained, the water wouldn't run off, and the terracing, in a short time, the wells had got back. The spring wells were back and thriving by just not bringing in anything else, but not only managing water runoffs, holding the water, sinking into the back to the water tables, and then the spring wells were kind of rejuvenated. Certain species of trees that were no longer available due to small practices and using the resources, using indigenous knowledge, revived. They came back. And using what my grandparents used to do, I applied that, and we started growing even vegetable. We had more vegetables along the trenches, because before the water could run off, it would stay for a while, sink slowly into the soils, and continuously benefit. Then other aspects, the health of the soil improved. But having looked at all those differently, many other attributes were realized by neighbors. The whole community, some of the people started practicing what we were practicing. So we find that once you practice and it is something good, it leads to co-creation. Others pick it up and take it and apply it. It brings in inclusivity. Others get involved to see the benefits of the neighborhood, and whatever practices that were endangering other neighbors go away, or they cease. There's mindset change, and there's also aspects to spread the success stories for others to learn about. Having said that, with healthy soils, that means that we have a healthy environment. With a healthy environment, we have many other aspects that we get healthy air, we breathe in. Most of the people do not take in that quality of air we breathe in has got a lot to do with our health and the health of the soils, the health of the crops, the health of the animals that we keep on our farms. So these are all aspects that can bring in, and the way people are looking at it along the value chain, it plays a role. This needs to be simplified for the local, a lay person to start appreciating them. The commercialization of agriculture to monoculture has played a major role in the deterioration of the different productivity of land. Commercialization, applying or nurturing the environment would be something very good to take on. But once it destroys other biodiversity, then it becomes unsustainable. This will not only affect the environment, it will affect humanity. It will affect us, the consumers, the quality of food we eat, the quality of water on which we survive will get affected. So how do we push this and scale it up, the potential? All of this needs to mainstream the principles of agroecology in our policy, regulations, at both national and local governments or local levels. We need to put in the aspects of quality culture. We need to have the culture of quality. I liked when Maureen said that the quick earnings to get a lot of money, but whereas this kind of money you're going to spend it on health, buying drugs to treat. But once the environment is healthy, you're eating healthy food, then you have a strong immunity in your body that will fight most of the diseases. The soils will be able to produce healthy foods. The environment will be able to filter the air and get us clean air that will contribute to our life. So mainstreaming agroecology in policies, in regulations, in practices is something very key to help us realize the potential of agroecology, ensuring the health of the environment and also providing us healthy foods and also helping us to live a healthy life. That's what I can say.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chimera. Thank you so much, Mr. Chimera, right there, giving us those insights into how things can be rectified. Mr. Chimera talked about the issues that are affecting us as farmers, especially in rural Africa. And now Maureen also talked about issues that affect us as farmers, of course, in Uganda. Now, Maureen, when you look at our farmers you were spot on. You talked about profits. We want to make profits. We want to make big yields. But of course, people are interested in the money, which is understandable because the more you have, the more problems they're able to solve. But now, how do we help them know that what they are doing is not only catastrophic to themselves, but also the future of their children and their children? Now, what are you doing as Slow Food? Do you have something like model farms? Do you have workshops that you organize and you go to the farms, to the gatherings and showcase these people that were doing this wrong? How do you demonstrate, for example, that chemicals are destroying our food productivity in Africa? In other words, what is Slow Food doing to rectify the situation, to change the trajectory of farming in Uganda?
Okay, thank you so much. Slow Food's main work is education, is creating awareness, is sensitizing masses. So what we are doing basically is we are building the capacity of our people. We are training people. We are opening the eyes of our farmers, especially those engaged in conventional farming. We organize trainings, and particularly, like I said, I'm the officer for agroecology and community empowerment. This is my work basically. Every day you will never find me in office. I'm always in communities. We train communities every now and then. We organize workshops to help our people understand the effects, the bad things of using chemicals, and the advantages that come along when we go for agroecology. For example, in February, we had an agroecology learning exchange. This is actually an annual activity that we normally organize in February or at the beginning of the year. And this initiative, actually, this is our third year that we are organizing it. And this initiative normally brings together farmers, then it brings media, the journalists, then it also brings on board like-minded organizations like the partners, and of course the consumers and the researchers. Then when these people are brought together, we combine them together. We have discussions about food, about the issues trending concerning food. Then from the discussions, we take these people to the fields to see the things happening there directly, because we know with the agroecology or with the Africans, most people want to see. If you tell him or her that this thing works, they normally want to see it directly. So this is what we normally do. We take these people to the fields, to different farms which are practicing agroecology. Then they look at the different practices. Then we also have people who are giving success stories that, for example, for me, I was a conventional farmer, but ever since I made Slow Food, my life has changed, and my life has changed. I can now earn, actually, because with agroecology, actually people don't know. However much, sometimes it takes some much time, but we invest in little. We invest in very little money compared to conventional farming, because with conventional farming, people actually they don't know, but they are instead investing in a lot of money, because the moment they start preparing or planting, every day they come with their chemicals, and these chemicals we buy them, and actually they are buying them expensively. So we have tried actually to also help our people to calculate this the cost accounting, to teach people to on costing the inputs that they put in. We get an agroecological farmer, then we cost all the inputs used. For example, we tell you, even if you used your own cow dung, but you calculate it, you calculate the compost you made by yourself, you calculate your time. Then we also get a case study of a conventional farmer, and then we also calculate the cost of the inputs. And at the end of it all, we realize that the agroecological farmer actually puts in little. So we are helping our farmers by opening their eyes, like we build their capacity in the different things, like they calculating the cost, and they come to know that for sure with agroecology we put in little. Then when we take them to the fields, like I said, they see the different practices, how people are earning, are getting good food from the success stories. And personally, I'm engaged in the trainings, like from February, I've been training our farmers, because we normally have farmer groups. We go there and we train them on the different organic amendments. Like recently, I've been training our farmers on how to prepare hot compost, the 18 days hot compost, which we prepare out of our locally available resources. We don't put in any single coin, provided that the farmer is can be able to collect the different materials that are used, the leftovers, the cow dung, the weeds, the weeds in the gardens. We collect all these things and we turn them into something important. We make compost out of all these things, and people can now tell that for sure these things can work, and we put in very little resources. So that is how we do our work, to make people understand, or to make people know that actually these things work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nkunda. And of course, next time I'm going to request you to please come with some of these photos, some of these footages from what you are doing. I did ask John Kwagalo, and I'm asking you again. Of course, it's a request that our viewers would like to see. As you said, yes, Africans, yes, we want to watch because it's better to learn by seeing. If you are using that approach, everything you are doing would have been very advanced, because by watching you learn better. So to me, I'm proud to say, yes, I want to see. If you say you are having these hot combos, I want to see, what does a hot combo look like? I want to see, how do you mix a cow dung, how do you mix urine, how do you mix, because this is how we can help someone in Botswana, in Namibia, in South Africa, because they're watching us. Today I was just showing Mr. Khmer right there, so far, who viewed our shows last week. I just sent you to see how people are watching these shows. People are watching these shows in thousands. So I do think that once we show them these images, they will say, Nkunda from Uganda showed us that we can transform our manure into this kind of combo, and can help us. And you'll be a success story right there without going there, but you are going there right through this television. So I'm requesting that next time we even have these images from the field, and we see how do people combine these things and then get us out of poverty. Tarok Traditional and Culture are saying most of the chemicals in Nigeria are fake. Here's the message I'm reading for you from our viewer in Nigeria. He's saying most of the chemicals in Nigeria are fake. We bought insecticides for snakes, scorpions, wild gecko, cockroaches last week. The seal inside is open. The contents inside was diluted. The seal was broken, and they sell to the public. Now he's showing you, this is a viewer from Nigeria. The message is right there on the screen. I can repeat it. He says most of the chemicals in Nigeria are fake. Now, where you find Nigeria, put Uganda, put Kenya, they are fake. And he says we bought insecticides for snakes, scorpions, and wild gecko, cockroaches last week, but the seal was broken, it was open, the condensate was diluted, and of course, they got a bad deal from whatever they bought. Thank you so much to Tarok Traditions, and of course, sharing your view, your perception now. Honestly, even in Uganda, I know that many people are producing these bad chemicals. You take them, they either spoil your food production or infect your tomatoes, your onions with something bad. And that's why European markets are vetting our food. That's why we end up having reduced customers, reduced market outside, because they are not so sure about the substances we are using as we produce our food. So I want Mr. Chimera and you, of course, I request that as we conclude this show, you continue to educate us how bad it is to rely on chemicals that we are not verified, and how good it is to rely on organic chemicals. I've been watching Dr. Narima, one of those successful farmers. She has been teaching farmers how to mix everything from your garden, from your farm. She says nothing goes to waste from a cow, nothing goes to waste from a pig, nothing goes to waste from a hen. Whatever is coming out of that farm basically goes back to the garden and becomes potential material for production. So how do we help our farmers know that actually your cow is your wealth, your pig is your wealth, whatever is coming from it? In fact, even human beings, I was doing research from China and Japan, and you know this because we are researchers, that there was a point where they used to go and use human waste. Human waste is improved upon to make pesticides, to make fertilizers. They use chemicals, of course, they are advanced. I'm not saying we are going to use it in Uganda, but I'm just giving you as an example, as a researcher, that you're even saying that at one point they were improving on human waste. For them, nothing goes to waste. Now, for us, we are simply buying chemicals. We don't know who has made them, and we are putting them on our soils. We are putting them on our products, and then we are getting fake things, fake products, low yield. So, Mr. Kimera, as we wind up, as a takeaway home, having had all this, what do we tell our farmers as the best way forward?
Thank you very much, Kato, and thank you very much, Maureen. Kato, I'm just going to give you two aspects before I go into the rest. We do harvest consumer, farmer, and business complaints on a daily basis. I have got colleagues who are in Kasese, Fort Portal, Gulu, Mbale here in Kampala, and Wakiso and Mukono. There we do a volunteer job, and that volunteer job we get young people, we give them gadgets, they use tools, their digital tools to, we call it consumer complaints harvesting. And so far from January to this month, we have collected over 2,000 complaints from consumers, farmers, and businesses. And majority of the complaints are all about quality of products, poor quality of products. And when we go to, we classify these complaints, and the biggest complaint about products are agri inputs, their quality. The farmers are complaining they do not provide them the value for money. Then the other biggest complaint about, even in consumer products, their quality, their fakeness, or they are either substandard. And what we do, we share these findings with the respective regulatory authorities. The other things that they are complaining about, and which touches our day-to-day life, is communication, the quality of communication. And under that, the other aspect they complain about is the digital finance or mobile money. Yeah. A lot of theft is going on, and consumers are complaining all about this. So I'm giving you that what has come from our brother or sister from Nigeria is not only in Nigeria, it is over the global world or the continent. But what it requires is the duty bearers to invest in inspection, to invest in surveillance, monitoring, and other investments in community awareness, consumer awareness, and putting up mechanisms. If a consumer sees something wrong, where do they report it? And the resolution for those aspects is very key. If I continue complaining, because this is now what my colleagues, the challenges they are getting out whenever they are in the community. Yesterday, you took my complaint. What did you do with it? Why isn't this worked on? So this is where, to build the trust and confidence of consumers, farmers, businesses, the duty bearers have to invest and implement regulatory frameworks that, and improve even on service delivery, that affect the citizens, the population. Because once people lose confidence, then they will continuously go in for substandard products. They will continuously go in for anything available on the market, but they will keep on losing money. They will, you see, like the chemicals he has talked about, they endanger human health, animal health, environmental health, air, the air we breathe in, the quality of the air we breathe in. It pollutes water. So these are, and many other aspects to do with biodiversity and the ecosystem. So taking action by duty bearers, doing scrupulous business rather than unscrupulous business. I always tell the business community, you can do unscrupulous business, not knowing that that unscrupulous business is coming to your household because you have sold it wholesale and a retailer will take it to your local market. And by the time you get home, the product you alterated and put it on wholesale, it will be bought by a retailer in your neighborhood whom you don't know, and your house help, your children.
Exactly that, Mr. Kimera. Thank you so much right there. We have a glitch right there. Now, Ankunda, coming back to you.
So
continue, Mr. Kimera. Continue.
Okay. So it is very key that whatever we are, positions that we are in, all status, we mind about our neighborhood. Agroecology is one of the aspects that is bringing us sense into appreciating living humanity. Unscrupulousness is demeaning and is dehumanizing us to live a life lack of dignity. So what we need to continuously do is to speak out of these about these things, and we challenge the governance to make sure that whatever is put on the market for us to use is of good quality, it is safe. Anything tampering with food production tampers with the welfare of humanity, the welfare of the economy, and it challenges everything. So taking on aspects that help to revive, nourish the environment, improve the quality of health are very key. And we need those that are also continuously doing conventional agriculture. They need to do integrated pest management using whatever chemicals or inputs they're using correctly so that they do not endanger others as others are using other practices. So that is something very key that we need to take on as different players in the environment. Lastly, we do not need to tamper with food. The unscrupulousness we do with food will come back to haunt us, either directly or indirectly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kimera. And that was a good one. And of course, we're going back to Ankunda. Ankunda, as we summarize today's show, as you are parting short to our viewers, what take our home?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Kato. As we come to the end of our show, for me, basically, what I can say is that whoever has the ability, whoever is capable of spreading this gospel of safe food, whoever can help, then we should actually combine our efforts and help our people. We do more sensitization, we do more education, we create more awareness, because actually some of our people, they don't know, they are not aware of what they are doing. Because, for example, you may ask a farmer, why are you using NPK? And he or she will start now telling you, when I bought the maize seeds, then they told me to take this fertilizer that it will help me. But we actually, what can help us is teaching our people the science behind all these fertilizers. That, for example, the NPK, the DPK, the DAP, the CAN, that people are running for, it's just a matter of understanding what is in this NPK. If it is NPK, for example, it's nitrogen, it's potassium, it's calcium. If it's any other thing, maybe they are looking at ammonium, they are looking at carbon. It's now a matter of telling these people that actually this NPK, there are these things, the potassium, that we are looking for, that we want in our soil, and these are the alternatives. For example, if you are looking, if it's CAN and we are looking for nitrogen, you can actually tell these people that if we can we have our plants which contain nitrogen, like, for example, the tephrosia, some seaweeds, if the maize is still green, if the sorghum is still green. So if we can turn these materials that I've mentioned, we turn them into compost, they can actually work the same way these chemical fertilizers work. It's just a matter of understanding what are we looking for in these chemicals. So that is what I can take home or tell my colleagues, that we really need to help each other in doing mass sensitization, because if our people can open their eyes and see where we are heading to, and see what actually the reality is, then we can actually be better people. Like, because actually also agroecology is a transition. It's not a one-day thing, it's a step by step. So if we can sensitize people, we teach them the right things to do, the better way to do them, then we can actually people can start embracing agroecology as time goes on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kunda Maureen. Thank you so much, Mr. Kimera Henry. And of course, thank you so much, Ben's Bongo in the studio. I should say this, it has been a wonderful show. I am a student. I keep on learning every day. And I am to say, I'm proud to see schools in Uganda. There are schools I follow online in Uganda that harvest urine. They harvest urine from the rhinos, and then improve on this urine and then use it in the farms, in the school farms. Now, I'm giving an example of what I'm seeing that is rhyming with agroecology. They are using this urine from the students, improving on it, and then it becomes an alternative pesticide. Because Maureen just said, if farmers could know that what we are buying from the shop, in fact, can be made locally right here, and doesn't affect your soil and doesn't affect your food, you are good to go. This is the message we need to teach our farmers. Look, even urine, if you handle it very well, and if Maureen can tell you the procedures, the steps you should do to make it less acidic, less dangerous, and then you can use it on your tomatoes. I'm just giving an example, on your cassava, on whatever it is that you are growing. You are going to have a better yield, but you have used less and less money. Because this is what I learned from you, that if you use things from within our environment, we are protecting the climate, we are protecting the soils, we are improving our food production, but again, we are saving on the money. So me, as someone who wants to make the money, I know I'm using less, but I'm protecting my soils from destruction. So this is the takeaway home I'm getting from you, Maureen, that there are things we can do right from within our homes, right from all our gardens. We are saving money. At the same time, we are saving our soils. I want to thank you so much, Maureen Ankunda, Madam Maureen Ankunda there from Slow Food. And of course, I want to thank Mr. Kimera from Consent, and of course, Dennis, the producer, for a very good show. I want to encourage you to attend the next show. But this time round, please get us some of these images from the field. We see exactly what is going on, what is Slow Food doing right on the ground. Thank you so much for attending. And of course, see you in the next show. Bye-bye.